In this session, we're going to kind of zoom in a bit and try to figure out what a unified content platform actually is in literal terms. I will dig right into the kind of completely nerdy details. And we also have a significant announcement. And like you said, Magnus, we actually never set out to make a CMS. I actually don't think we even knew the term headless CMS when we kind of conceived of it. Our mindset was rather, can we get rid of the CMS? There must be something better. For everything a CMS does, there exists like a better way to do it in a different discipline. And why are we then doing this? So we feel like we actually needed to uninvent the CMS. Because CMS has kind of taught us that the data was kind of one thing and content was a different thing. And it was fine that your content is just this kind of unstructured bit soup that you can just use for one single purpose. And we felt that content should be treated the same way we treat data. We should structure it carefully and should be able to process it the way we want to. So the first thing that we had to build was a content studio. And the point of that is not like, of course, it's a delightful experience in terms of creating content. It's customizable. It is a way that kind of creative people can create content and share it. It's a CMS, to be fair. But the point of it, the reason we needed to make it is it retains the structure of the content. It kind of keeps it in its purest, most general form as structured content, I guess. And this is the first key piece of a unified content platform that you can author naturally, like a kind of a normal creative person wants to author things, but it still is proper data the way a programmer and designer wants to be able to process that and present it. Where do you keep that content? And of course, the natural answer is in a database, of course. That's just common sense, but still we see this purpose-built kind of content API still. But of course, your API needs to be at least as powerful as a database query language. But that wasn't the only thing we needed to solve, because the traditional idea of content has really not evolved a lot since the printing press. It's basically like a number of people author something for a bit of time and then they submit it for distribution. And this is what a lot of CMSs and databases, to be fair, is organized around. But this mode is, of course, out of date. In a modern experience-driven business, the content is a living thing. It's a stream of changes. It is a stream of changes, of edits, of signals. And so our definition of content is basically any piece of data that you intend to present to an audience. Some of it may be authored, but a lot of it may originate in other systems and then be augmented and editorialized and represented by people. So like stuff like, do we have bacon at the Broadway branch? Where is the Broadway branch? What soundbar goes with this receiver? Is there a special on, and where is that special on? Where in the world is this writer stationed right now? Are there any events or talks scheduled with this particular architect? All of this is content. Some of our customers actually have like 1,000 write operations per minute from non-human systems, to put it that way. And our kind of system makes sure that people and machines can do their thing together to the same documents at the same time without stepping on each other's toes. So this brings us to the kind of second pillar of a unified content platform. We call it the Content Lake. And it's what we are announcing today. And this is the kind of culmination of years of engineering work. We knew this is what we wanted from the start. We didn't have the particular word, but this is what we were going for. Because we knew we wanted this kind of unified way of treating content. But and I guess it took us some time to figure out that we needed to coin a term. Because we kept saying these things like it's like a database, but it's also like a CDN. But it's not like a CDN because it's like a real-time collaborative thing with this kind of. So we'd like this planet-spanning, real-time collaborative database system that aggregates and unifies and distributes structured content in real time from any source to any channel anywhere at any time. So it gets kind of old to keep saying that. So that's why we have this term, the Content Lake. And by being that place where all your content comes together from all the various sources and becomes available for collaborative authoring. It is the machine that enabled the decomposition of the organization. And by being the engine that takes these various sources and then filters and composes and shapes them for purposes that wasn't maybe even imagined initially when this content was created, it is the machine that enables the composable organization, in terms of content at least. And of course, there is a final, less tangible aspect of being a unified content platform, and it is the developer experience. Like Magnus said, developers, like without that, we are nothing. Also because we are developers, but yeah, this is absolutely vital. So, because of course, what we set out to do was to make something that can be tailored and integrated into the specific organization, their way of working and thinking, their systems and use cases, and evolve with the organization and unlocking this kind of continuous ability to innovate. Let's zoom even further in. Let's get down to the brass tacks and figure out what literally this means. Let's start with Alex from the Content Lake team, who built the initial version of the system along with myself back in 2017. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Simen.
Hi. Let's talk about the GROQ. What is it?
Well, GROQ is a general query language for structured content. By structured content, I mean really just JSON. And GROQ is the cornerstone of the Content Lake philosophy. Because of GROQ, the content can be stored in whatever way makes sense for the developers, any shape that is sort of natural to your application. And then the consumers of that content, being like clients on mobile apps and websites, can provide GROQ query as a kind of like recipe, if you will. Like, give me these pieces of content in this shape, connect them in this way, and return it. So in Content Lake terms, GROQ is the thing that connects and distributes and adapts contents to specific front ends.
So of course this is kind of where we started even. So this is something we had from the start, and we have until now only called this like a very rich and powerful content API in a sense. But what changed?
Well, the initial version that you and I created way back had a lot of inconsistencies and performance issues. We didn't really know, frankly, what we were building it then, who would be using it. We didn't know how important and popular GROQ itself would be as sort of the core of the whole system. So we had to go back and think about things, and we've spent the last 2 years rebuilding everything from scratch and sort of refining the language, nailing things down so that we can get to this point where we have this enterprise level Content Lake experience that we really want.
Yeah, no, it's interesting how we it kind of has been a wild ride while seeing how people use GROQ and seeing the things that we haven't even imagined that people are actually doing with it. So clearly it had to kind of mature. And one of the people who has been spending a lot of time on that, along with yourself, Alex, is Magnus Holm, principal engineer of the Content Lake team, and a driving force behind this reinvention. What is it we have done, Magnus Holm?
Yeah, hey Simen. So for us, it's very important that GROQ is a language that anyone can use. So it's super powerful and useful, but it's not really supposed to be this secret thing that we only use in Sanity. And we don't want people to feel locked into Sanity because of GROQ. So one of the things we did was to release a formal specification of GROQ, which kind of explains exactly how it behaves in all edge cases, so that anyone is free to implement GROQ and use it. So it would be super useful for even more products or even competitors to start using GROQ. We just think it's a great language that anyone could use. So that's why we created a test suite, we added a grammar, and we made it just like super easy for anyone to start using this thing. We really just want people to use it. And in addition, when we created the grammar, we also created another parser generator toolkit to make it even easier to create a parser. So with all of these things in place, we created an open source JavaScript implementation of GROQ. So now anyone can use it inside their own product if they want. So
I don't
it's
think
been
anyone is
super
doing that right
exciting
now.
Yeah, we haven't really told anyone.
We can
Like, yeah,
kind of
you
lead
can,
the
you can
horse to
do
the
that.
water, but you can't make it drink in a sense.
Yeah.
But this was all kind of last year, right? Why did we start here, you think?
Yeah, so this was way back in 2020, which has been like 3 years ago. So this was all work to verify that the specification is actually sensible and usable. So then we had to start to work on actually implementing this new version of GROQ inside Sanity again. So we haven't changed everything. We tried to stay to the same principles, but we used like everything we learned in the last few years to build like a much better implementation and get rid of inconsistencies. And as a separate goal, we also want to make it as fast as scalable as possible.
But GROQ is already very fast, right?
Yeah, well, yes and no. I think, do you have the GROQ performance studio here? So one very interesting thing we built to make sure that the GROQ stays fast is that we built a performance studio. So this is a regular Sanity studio where we store data about different queries. So we started collecting some queries that we wanted to be faster. And on this graph, you can see the performance. So the lower number, the better. And then time goes from left to right. So here you can look at like the references with one ID. For instance, you see that it was pretty slow at some point. And then the 22nd of February, we were able to optimize it and make it a lot faster. So this is how we've been kind of working and like finding queries that we think are usable and slow, and then making them faster. And then the second thing we've done is this comparison here that you see, which compares the new engine with the old engine. So green is good and red is bad. So this also shows a bit how it compares to the old one.
But I think kind of fast is good. It was to most use cases fast enough already, but this kind of unlocks some other use cases, doesn't it?
Yeah, so this data set here is 500,000 documents, which is quite a lot. I mean, most people don't have 500,000 blog posts, or maybe they do. I don't, at least. So for us, it's a bit important that you can scale up your content. So even though you might not reach 500,000, it's nice to know that, oh yeah, at least you can handle 20,000, 30,000, 50,000. So maybe the performance here in itself isn't so important, but just like knowing that you can scale up is important for us.
Exactly. That's kind of the core here, the maturity of this engine. Like this is the kind of visible change to us that we have now. This kind of we have rebuilt everything exactly the way it should be. We have this confidence in the performance and in the consistency. We don't have these snags that you might hit in the past. So this is like a solid basis. And of course, there are some red numbers here still. So this is also a solid base to keep kind of optimizing, I guess. But it's also a solid basis for building some new features in GROQ finally. And to talk about this, let's bring in Rade.
Hello.
Hey Rade. Rade, you're a developer on the Content Lake team, and I know you've worked on a lot of these optimizations as well. But for now, for this purpose, let's talk about these new things that we're bringing in today.
Yeah. So we always wanted GROQ to be as powerful as any database query language, but we are moving beyond that. GROQ is a multi-model content query and processing language. Our architecture allows us to provide features that you would normally not find in the same database. So today, we are adding two very powerful features. The first one is weighted search.
Let's find it here.
Allows, yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. So it allows you to search hits by weighted score. Like a match in a title is 4 times more valuable than the one in the body text. This feature is usually associated with text search engines. The second feature that we are launching is geographic search. You actually added a comprehensive set of geographic primitives and the ability to search by distance or by various geometric operations, like if two polygons overlap each other. This can, for example, be used to automatically find products or spatial offers that are relevant to a particular consumer based on their location. And these all of these features can actually be freely mixed together and combined with the current features that are available in Grok within the same query. So that makes it really powerful. I think you have a demo, right?
Yeah, I think we do actually. What a surprise! Let's look at it. Let's see here. So I think that's really a key that you covered there, Rade, that we have all of these different features that almost feels like they would come from different systems, and with kind of Grok and our architecture, we can combine them. And in a single query, you can do these kind of text search engine things and these geospatial things. And let's say, so this is our community. This demo is kind of based on our community data. So these are all people from our community. And then, of course, we can go ahead here and do like show only people that have listed themselves as available for work. And you'll see here in the Grok, this is kind of normal, old-fashioned Grok from like 2 minutes ago, where you can filter things, database style. But now you can also do this thing where you can, let's say, you can search by designer, for example. Designer. And now you'll see a new thing that's never been in Grok before. And that's these kind of boosted scores. So now we see that we can actually search by these terms, and we can kind of augment, like a match in the name is more important than a match in the headline, and that's even more important than a match in the kind of bio text. I guess we can search for Rade. Can we see if I can find you? There you are. And then the cool thing that you mentioned, Rade, is that these can just be mixed and matched. So if we move to the map, yeah, there you are, Rade. Are you coming back to Oslo soon? Let's see. Here. So here now we just there is no filters. Now we have like everyone here who has a location. And now we can say the same thing here. Of course, we can say designer, and now we can get designers on a map, which is nice. But we can also then, let's say, add this polygon. Let's say we only want designers in Europe. And now we are searching both by boosted text search and also by polygons and also filtered. I can even add this thing where I add my own location, and I can say like, it needs to be this close to me. Of course, this doesn't matter anymore now that we all work remotely, but it's for show. And you can see it intersects these two shapes together. So this is just like super powerful, simple to implement, but you have to use the new engine. So that brings us to the next point. With all these changes to the APIs, will everything break now, Alex?
No, we actually have a strong principle of not breaking any APIs. We have a version API. So if you do nothing, nothing actually changes. And we've been careful to sort of maintain all the original inconsistencies in the old version. So if you don't do anything now, everything will keep running exactly as before. And you have to explicitly opt in to get the new features.
We have the exact same bugs today as we had yesterday.
Exactly. We guarantee
I know that you were able to pull that off, because that was like a nightmare. I have nightmares about randomly breaking cloud APIs. But this new engine, it's actually been running in production for this entire year, hasn't it, Rade?
Yeah. We've had this running for quite a while, and today is the day when we just declare it and we say, okay, it's done and it's official. And no code changes has been deployed today for the launch. So yeah.
This is we are kind of announcing our confidence more than any code.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do people kind of get this?
Well, then you can just go to Sanity.io and search for API versioning, and it will tell you everything you need to do to upgrade your studio to use the new versioning.
So it's just basically something you stick in here?
Yeah, it's a configuration to the client, more specifically.
So we'll now from now on we will keep adding new features, and sometimes you will need to upgrade to get them. The documentation is updated and on the site right now. You can check it out. There's also some surprises there for you. You might have picked it up on some of the screens we showed. There are some portable text features that we didn't talk about, which is also really awesome. you should join our Slack community, but more importantly, you should join our hop-in later, and we can discuss these new features, and we can listen to your ideas for upcoming features we should add. Thank you, Alex, Holm, and Rade, and thank you for everyone for listening.